Hey, you guys, good morning. I'm here this morning with Simon and Marnie, and we've just been talking for the last while. Welcome, you guys.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thanks
so
for having us.
cool that you're here. We've been just talking for the last 10 minutes because sometimes what happens when people come in and I have a general idea of what's happening or what we're going to talk about, but I want to talk about what we're going to talk about, and we just covered some amazing stuff. We really did, and these guys are living in the not knowing. And I did a little video yesterday, just me talking to my audience about that with me, almost identical. It's like, and what you were saying about how the signs come, the answers come, just really paying attention in a way to because you know that you don't know, and you know that you don't. You're not going to figure it out from that old logical knowing place, from the traditional values, and that you're actually waiting for instructions, right?
True.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so you both had corporate jobs.
Yes.
Awesome, and it just doesn't fit anymore. You've been meditating for.
Yeah, on and off since about 2012, but
Yes.
like I was mentioning, I didn't have a regular practice. It was a little bit sporadic, and it wasn't until...
You have meditation stools now, though, don't you?
Yes, we have
speaking of
amazing
which.
meditation stools in space. It's absolutely beautiful. Sophie's been using hers as well. We've
Nice.
been doing that together, so that's fantastic. But we really did kind of set the intention back in December that we were going to start meditating every day. So there was a few changes that we'd made, and started doing a gratitude journal and just really looking at shifting our perspective on a daily basis. What small things could we do kind of incrementally to elicit change in our life?
To lift the vibration.
Yeah, and lift the vibration.
Yeah. Wasn't it neat because as we, according to David Hawkins, who I'm a big fan of, I don't know if you've read any of his stuff, but he talks about vibration, and according to Hawkins, as we lift in vibration, nothing really changes, it just doesn't, it's just gone.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like whatever we were messing around with before, if we were in anger or fear or grief or sorrow, or we were in the lower vibrations, it's not like we fixed those problems. Yeah. They just disappear. Yeah. And so doing what you were doing, was lifting you up.
Absolutely.
Nice.
Yeah, we definitely felt that, and it got to a point. So
the trouble with that is then your whole life has to change.
What's that?
Then your whole life has to change.
Yeah, it did.
You can't ignore the signs anymore. So
it's like, oh shit, it could have stayed in blissful ignorance.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. There's once you start swimming, there's no going back.
There's no going back.
Yeah,
you're screwed.
Yeah.
In a beautiful way.
In the best possible way. Yeah. We started to see just our day-to-day interactions and the type of people that we connected with, and really shifting and raising in vibration, and just this kind of really positive, calm overtone started happening on even a daily basis in our life, I'd say.
And like when you guys came in here, it was like 3 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Yes.
And we just clicked.
Yeah.
Yes.
And you started to tell me your story. I'm going, wow, that's so cool, because they basically let it all go.
Yeah.
And the careers, the jobs, and moved into not knowing. And
it was quite the process for me personally to arrive at that, because all kinds of things came up for me as I was going through and raising my vibration. There was a lot of things that I realized no longer aligned or no longer felt right for me to keep pursuing, and where I was working was one of them. I mean, it was an amazing space and wonderful people, but I knew that I was no longer in alignment with doing that, and that spending my time, working 9 to 5, that there was other things that I wanted to be doing. But there was a lot of fear that came up for
Or was
that.
it other things that wanted you to be doing?
Yeah,
so
maybe that.
you wanting to do it, other things were calling.
Absolutely.
It was like, shit, this is not it.
Yeah, this isn't it.
And
yeah, it's how you choose. I mean, it's taking back how you choose to spend your time and devote your energy towards.
Yeah.
And I think that becomes really important as far as what you do.
So
in
is
that
it
field.
though, when we talked about kind of becoming, letting go till there's nothing left, there's no chooser either.
No.
It's like we get chosen, and I don't know about you guys, but I have gone through a period of resisting being chosen.
Yes.
Like
Yeah.
really
And
resisting.
it's because
You know, and it's like, holy shit, are you sure?
Yeah. I'm like,
I think you got the wrong guy. It's wrong address. He's over there. You know.
different meditation.
Yeah.
The guy next door. Yeah.
Yeah,
So for sure.
there was some of that for sure.
And it is safe. I know from my own experience leaving a job that I worked for 16 and a half years with very good security through a up and down industry, to be honest, and really having no reason to leave. Like the people I worked with were fantastic, a wonderful boss, a great, very interesting job, well paid. So no compelling reason to do anything. It is easy to say, you've got the wrong person. I think the mail went to the wrong inbox here.
Yeah.
But there's only so much you can ignore, I think, and then because the universe will turn up the volume once you start calling in something differently.
You get a stick.
Exactly.
Beat you.
Exactly.
Okay.
And not give you the answers as to what that looks like, but the fear part is to trust.
Yeah.
And in every in the meditations that we did that talked a bit about talked about abundance, or what does that look like for you, or what some messages that your higher self are trying to tell you. For both of us, we always heard, abundance was translated to freedom, and we did not know what that meant as such. And then the second part was essentially to trust. So trust in the process, and that's hard because there is a fear associated with it, and we are conditioned to live in fear.
Yeah, we're all mini engineers.
Exactly, we are conditioned to live in fear because we do not ask questions. We do not want to change how we do things, and we make good consumers as a result.
Sure, we want to fit in, baby.
Yeah, all
Hey,
that
I
stuff.
want everybody to like me.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so when you're in a fear-based space, you're actually just thinking about survival, and in this society, survival equates to actually buying things and purchasing things. There is a safety aspect to it because it makes us feel like we are surrounding ourselves with things to protect us. So there's a bit of that breaking out of that shell, that construct. That's quite unnerving as well. So.
Yes, I understand. Yeah, I do, and it's interesting because in my own case, I thought that I was already experiencing that. I had my little Bali business, and I was getting, lifestyle kind of nailed. I was getting to go to Indonesia a couple times a year, but I didn't really own that business. It owned me, but I hung on to it like crazy, and even to the extent when there was a period of time when I was living in the store, just really trying to make it work in that way, and I just, in my prayers, in my late night conversation with whoever the hell was listening, I was like, okay, yes, I surrender.
I surrender.
I surrender.
And one of the things that we were chatting about before that I think ties into this really nicely and that helped me immensely was I've been reading a book, Becoming Supernatural, by Dr. Joe Dispenza, and he talks about getting to this unknown that you're talking about, and getting to that space where you let go, you become nobody, no thing, no time, no space, nothing. And from that space, you step into the unknown. And every time, if I looked back in my life, every time that I ever did that, the universe never let me down.
Amazing
Something
shit
even more
happened.
exactly was on the other
Like,
side of that.
oh my
So
gosh.
why would this be any different?
Yes.
Here we are, taking a really big leap.
I
into
suspect that
unknown.
even happens at death.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Tell me more.
Well, when we step into this ultimate fear,
Yeah.
this that many of us have had, and it's my imagining is that it's like, oh, you're kidding.
Yeah.
That was it.
That was it. Yeah.
And
Just a different state.
we leave the body and we move into whatever, and it's another awakening.
Yeah.
And
Actually, that's a really.
That's a good
I
way to
like
look
that
at it.
perspective.
Yeah, let's run with that.
Yeah. That's really, I like that.
But let's not hold it too tightly, though. 'Cause
I hear you. It's a balance.
Yeah, because anything we hold too tightly seems to actually be holding us.
Yeah.
You know,
letting go of it,
So
attachment.
I think I told you guys, or we shared last time when you were here. I don't know if we did or not, but I have a Harley Davidson. For years, I was quite attached to this, motorcycle. You know, it was a thing, and it was a bit of an identity, and it was, and I would get on it, and it had, it was like part of me in some way. And now when I see it, it's like, oh, look at that. I don't have a connection. I don't even feel like it's mine.
More neutral.
Yeah, it's totally neutral. It's like, I should go for a ride. I wonder what that's like. But it's just, so I think we can still do lots of things maybe that we used to do, but it's in a whole different way.
Yeah.
You might still go to a football game, but more as an observer, more as being more conscious or more present in a way than we were before, when we were consumed with who won.
Yes.
Or who lost, or So what are you going to do? I mean, I know you don't know, but you have some idea. What's next?
So we are we're working with a group in Vancouver to establish a foundation and to do some more humanitarian projects. That's still being defined as to what that looks like, but probably be around some specific key areas. Do you want to maybe tell about the areas?
Yeah, some of the things that we're really focusing on are raising consciousness. So, however that might look, if that's through retreats or meditation, different healing work and modalities, and then looking at education, how we educate our children, and there isn't really a lot that's taught in schools around self-love or self-care.
Well, Steiner, Waldorf, do you know the Waldorf system?
Yes. Yeah. So starting more, but like more mainstream. There's not too much of that. So kind of focusing on a different model that just helps children to be free of a lot of programming and conditioning that we're all exposed to from an early age. And then looking at how we can revolutionize our food industry. Because one of the things, David, actually that both of us really found was what we put in our bodies affects our vibration. I can feel a huge difference when I eat certain foods versus when I don't. And so just really focusing.
So if we could all live on organic avocados.
Yeah, pretty much.
we'd be like floating.
Yeah, the thing is and if you look just even in the area around the city, for instance, if you go out to the farmlands, it's either used for product crops, so canola we grow, or it's cattle farming, and often large areas of land are used for that. So, the thinking is, why is it that we have taken the personalization of food production and the localization, or stop thinking about it in terms of growing food as opposed to just growing cash crops or cattle or things like that. So I think it'll we've industrialized food production.
So don't you think that food production is going to come in the city? Like food production is going to be in warehouses.
There's no reason it can't be.
And we're going to have classical music playing in the warehouses.
And that sounds fantastic.
And there's no reason we can't. So one of the ideas that we are working with is to really push some urban gardens. So provide the means and the financing and the training and the facilities to do that, and have people take ownership of growing their own food. Offer it to them.
I went to see Springsteen years ago in Portland, I think, or Seattle, and in the middle of his show, he had a 10-minute or 15-minute talk about urban gardens.
Really?
Yeah, and which is his cause. And I mean, it doesn't work so well in northern cities.
Yeah.
So
Yet,
yeah. So unless we were going inside.
Yeah.
Correct. Unless you change how you think of what that garden looks like. What if you were able to shelter that from the elements?
Yeah,
but
greenhouse.
Still use the fact that you have the most sunshine in the city than most cities in North America, right?
We really do.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So you can find ways. There's always ways. It's just a matter of finding the means to do it.
Or it finds you.
Yeah,
exactly. Or the means find you. Exactly.
Yeah. So it's an interest of yours.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. So I think that's one of the key things that we would look at, and certainly I've seen lots of. It's funny. Today, even this morning, I saw a World Wildlife Fund video on agroforesting. So there was a person in Costa Rica that was doing farming, but also as part of the forest. So it was basically intermingling crops within the forest, and what that meant to the overall health of not just the area of growing forests and replenishing the trees, but what that meant to the actual crops that you're growing and how that meant for the soil and things like that. And it's something like that where you just look at it and go, well, what a simple concept in a sense, but why can't you replicate that and do that elsewhere? Why can't we do that here? Why can't we have what can we grow in a forest?
But two things. I was just noticing that I know lots of folks over the years who've said, kind of hippie kids, and middle-aged hippies too, who've said, fuck it, I'm out of here. But they went with an againstness. They were, I'm done with you guys, and I'm done with this government. I'm done with this system, and they left with an againstness. And I don't sense that at all with you guys.
No, we can't. We can't be that way.
You're doing this in like a much more mature way than that.
Well, coming from we both had corporate jobs. We have lived in a city.
You've been part of the system.
Exactly.
And so you're not saying the system doesn't work. You're saying we can maybe improve the system.
Exactly.
And because of your access, you can actually. And we need people who've been within or are still within the system to help change.
And we would look to draw on those people exactly, because you get to know these people and know that they have the talents and the capabilities to help you to do these things. It's just the avenue, or providing the avenue for them to do it.
Yeah, I have a friend who's really done a lot over the years around helping different causes, and he raises money and stuff like that. But I've had to talk to him several times because has such an againstness around capitalism, and anything that's remotely right of center, and which shuts him off from all of these people that want to help.
Yeah.
That could be somewhat re-educated. I think I'm kind of socially quite liberal and fiscally quite conservative. And I think that there's it's nice to be able to mix in all those crowds.
And to be honest, most people are.
Yeah.
Right. If you really went down to the heart of what issues they're passionate about, most people are quite socially liberal but financially conservative, right?
Yeah.
And so finding that it's that they don't find that mix in whoever they're picking to represent them off.
So anything we're against, we actually hold in place.
Yes.
And so to make change, I think we need to love whatever it is that needs support to change.
And you were saying that when we were chatting earlier, that we're all connected.
Yeah.
It's all one. So that against viewpoint or energy just creates more separation.
Yes.
And if we can work together as a collective to shift and evolve and grow as people, then it's more productive. Unconditional love.
Yes.
Yeah. So we're excited for that. Oh, and one more really key element that we want to do is have fun.
Have fun.
So one of the things that we found as part of our experience and working on raising our consciousness and vibration was one of the fastest ways for us that we found to do that was to do things that bring us joy and that we're passionate about and have more fun. I've taken life very seriously. For a long time. That's been an old program that I've been running. So really just loosening up and giving myself permission to have fun, to take some time off and do that. So we love mountain biking and skiing, and so we plan to do a lot more of that too in conjunction with the other work that we're doing.
So I totally agree. I was talking to a friend of mine this morning, my buddy Morris Lukwich, and he was at a talk recently, and this lady in the talk was talking. She said she'd never worked a day in her life because what she did always was what her passion was. It was never work. It was always she was there because she
brought her joy.
Yeah, it brought her joy, and which was really cool. I mean, what an example.
Pretty
Yeah.
incredible.
And it feels to me that that's what's happening for me right now. I'm moving into what I really love doing, and like this, I so enjoy doing this, you know, and meeting people like you guys, and getting to share with the world, you know, who you are and your example, you know, which is, you know, to a lot of people who are in their jobs, if you will, they're feeling the call to be somewhere else. Not just that they don't like their job, they're actually resisting a call to do something else. And they're like, well, yeah, but I can't because I don't know what that'll look like. Well, bullshit.
Yeah.
You know, and you're setting the example of just, you know, doing it anyway.
Yeah, doing it anyway.
And
there's a lot of trust and excitement in that, and the universe has never let me down.
No.
So why
Well,
would-
it can't.
It can't. That's not how
You
things
are the
work.
universe.
Oh, I love that. Yeah. Yeah.
You are. We are. You know, and so you have kids?
One.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Sophie?
Sophie.
Yes.
Yeah.
How old Sophie?
Sophie's 8.
Wow. Sophie on
Yeah.
board?
Yeah, Sophie's on board with what she knows. You know, there's some things that we're kind of waiting to share fully with her, but
Because you don't know?
Yeah, it's hard to share
Yeah.
something that you don't know with.
Yeah.
But she's very open,
Yeah.
and she actually also senses that there's big change coming. She's
Wonderful voice for it, and
Yes.
I know.
yeah.
I listened to it, and I said, "What? Like
Oh,
your
so
voice is."
she's already done it on YouTube?
Yeah,
Oh,
it's not on
amazing.
YouTube yet. She had 2 iPads, and she found really calming music and beautiful images on one, and then she held up her other one and recorded a voiceover to it. So you see
Wow.
these images. I know. I thought that was pretty neat.
She's
Really,
8.
Yeah.
And she's 8.
Yeah,
Yeah.
thinking of these things.
Gosh.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
she's on
I
board.
can't even
with,
do that stuff.
Yeah,
on board
I
with
couldn't have thought of that either. So.
I know.
So when are you heading for the West Coast?
We
We're
don't know.
not sure. So we're we're not sure.
Okay.
When the time comes, we'll be ready, and that's really what's important. And
Nice.
there's a number of things that I know from my perspective that I've had to go through to get to the point where I think that we'll be in a better space to actually work on some of the things
Yes.
as well. So you don't realize after working for so many years in a corporate world how much how long it takes to decouple from that and to remove actual attachments from an emotional or physical perspective, and you're essentially taking away what you have defined yourself as for quite some time, and
You.
for what I've defined myself
yeah.
as for some
Nice.
time, right? So
Yeah.
and so that took a while, and just realizing how. And I mentioned this to Marnie. I said I didn't realize how much of a knot in my stomach I've had for so long.
Freedom, baby.
And exactly, yeah, and not, you operate at a certain level of stress,
Yeah.
and say that's acceptable because I'm not going over that, right? I'm not,
That's your
melting
bar.
down or not having. I mean, I'm still able to sleep. I'm still relatively happy, but you set that bar still at a point where you're maintaining that stress level, and I didn't realize it until I left. And it took me a while because, leaving that space, it took a while to decouple and to really release that knot and to
Nice.
feel like letting that go and not even thinking
Like
about
this
it.
whole identity of
Exactly.
Simon the engineer.
Well, what's the second question people ask you?
What do you
usually?
do?
What do you do?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nothing.
Nothing, yeah. At this point, nothing.
I'm enjoying saying that.
Enjoying,
Yeah.
yeah.
What do you do?
Yeah, what do you do?
I'm just living.
Yeah.
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 They're usually
know,
your follow-up questions.
Yeah.
And there's usually follow-up questions, and there's, when the people that I've talked to and I've said, this is what I plan on doing, and they expect you to come up with a plan, right? And you've mentioned this. You mentioned this when we chatted about, in your own conversations about, well, what are you doing? And they expect you to have this. Well, by August 15th, I will be here, and this, by this date, and when you don't have that, it's upsetting for them because they don't.
It's a little hard to raise money.
Yes.
Yeah.
So you kind of have to make up a bullshit
Yes.
plan.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
this
Here's
is
the framework.
this is what's going to happen, and by the second of it's all going to be in place. Oh,
Oh, I guess it slid a little bit. Right?
yeah. I was over optimistic.
Exactly. That's right, yeah.
And
I think for us, it's just mainly refining our plan. I feel like we've been getting sort of messages on what that's going to look like, and to really be aware of how we are going to execute some of these things.
But if I might,
Yes.
you know, if we're really in the moment,
Yeah.
I would suggest that all of those plans on how we're going to execute, you know, again, we might need to
It's
be
not gonna
prepared
be
to
exactly who you
to,
think
to
it
let
is.
it go.
Exactly.
You know,
Yeah. Yeah.
and even what you think
Yeah.
you're going to do,
And
that
it's
might even
it's true.
might
Yeah, absolutely.
shift.
yeah.
And that seems to be changing. And I mentioned this to Marnie. I said I keep seeing new stuff that I think that we
Yeah.
should do. And
You could be cleaning the beach and
exactly,
Squamish.
you have no idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have no
Yeah.
idea. And so to let go and be fluid, like you said, to have the
Yeah.
intent of what you're trying to do,
Yeah.
but how that executes, you have to let that go.
So it's interesting because when fear comes up, you know, this is my experience. So here I think I know what's, you know, okay, kind of generally this is what's going to happen. This is where we're going, and then I'm thinking, well, am I changing that because of fear, or am I actually being called? So to tune in each moment, you know, to be connected to what's happening or wants to happen, and to be able to discern whether it's just, you know, my ego saying, you know,
Yes.
bringing up fear,
Yeah.
and which is part of you know, part of this.
Part of our human existence.
Yes,
Yeah.
and
We've both been working through a lot of that over
Mm-hmm.
the past bit, trying to distinguish, okay, is this my ego, is this
Yeah.
fear-based, and truly letting go of any attachment to the outcome, which
Yeah.
is definitely a new way of being for
Yeah.
me. And I feel like I'm wide open.
Good.
I have no expectations. I have this clear vision of, from an emotional perspective, of what it feels like, and,
Yeah.
and I'm already grateful for what's happened before it's
Yeah.
even made
which,
manifest.
to do it together
Yeah.
is even
Yeah.
in some ways more challenging, because you know, you could be more in a let go
Yeah.
than Simon, and he's like, yeah, but you know, don't you care? Yes, I care, and I'm just letting go.
Yeah,
and
just letting go, and it's been really complimentary
Yeah.
because
Has
we
it?
both, we
Yeah.
both have had, you know, our moments where we're like, oh, what is this
fuck
gonna
is
be
going
okay?
on? Yeah.
What the hell's going on?
Yeah.
And we've really kind of helped balance that,
Yeah.
or just counter that in our experience, and
Nice.
have gone through a similar
Yeah.
process, but interweaving at different times. So
So
it's been complementary, I think.
the magic word,
Yes.
yes,
Yes.
isn't
Say
it?
yes.
Just
Yeah.
yes. Okay, yes. Even if, you know, I think if we say yes and then we realize actually it's a no, then, you know,
That's
it c-
information too.
yeah, and it can, then we can always change, you know.
Yeah.
But our conditioning is often that it's no first.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, it is no. Usually.
and so it's to be able to see that you know, and it's my conditioning too. I mean, you know, I'm right in the middle of the same struggle, or I don't know if I want to call it the struggle, the same journey, the same
process,
the same
yeah.
process, the same letting go, and you know, and the same ego saying, you know, what do you think you're doing?
Keep doing what you love, David.
Yes.
Keep doing this, because
Yeah.
it's honestly, it's creating momentum, and it's growing, and just puts more energy around your intention. And each time you do this, it, you know, shifts little things and other doors open.
Seems to, you know, there's magic happening.
There is.
You know, and I was saying I talked to
Yeah.
the universe,
Yeah, yeah.
God, whatever, you know, and it was just yesterday. I said, you know, show me what's, you know, really, I'd like to, you know, getting a little closer. And the answer is, well, I sent you this, and this already.
Yeah.
I get
What
that
more would
too.
you like to do?
What more would you like? And I said, okay, all right, yes.
This
Okay.
sounds very familiar.
Yeah.
This sounds very, don't worry, it plays out all the same things. So,
So part of the problem was that I hadn't been saying a clear yes
Yeah.
to those things that
Yeah.
appeared. You know, they're not a mistake. They're not a trick. They're not. You know, my ego wants to imagine that there's somebody with bad intent, or you know, and just let that go.
Just let it go.
You know,
It's just an old program.
Yes, and they're pretty. I have them reasonably thick. I was a street kid and did all. You know, so yes,
Yeah.
sometimes they're really strong. You know, and just have to say, okay, Here we go.
Less resistance.
Yes.
Yeah. When there is that resistance, it just things kind of get a little bit louder.
So thank you, guys, for doing this.
No problem.
Not just this interview, but thank you for having the courage to say yes. Having the courage to just jump in and change your lives and let go. Letting go is the whole thing. And I'm going to do something with this guy, and he was talking. He's very much in the same boat as we are, and we were talking about letting go. And he said, when we continually let go, we become the zero. We really do get to that place of nothing. And that's a lot of what I see myself sharing with people, that helping them see how we're holding on to identities.
Yep.
Even parenting can be an identity. And in a way, years ago I recognized that they're not my kids. They're little human beings that I had some part in, but they're not mine.
Yeah.
We do that. We identify with, father and mother and brother and sister and all of those relationships. And I think that all of that identity holds us in a place. Yeah. It becomes part of our
it's comfortable.
Yes, and it becomes part of our prison as well.
Yeah.
And
part of the construct.
Yes, and so letting go, eh?
Yep, letting go.
Who was the doctor you just talked about?
Dr. Joe Dispenza.
Yes, we love Joe Dispenza. Yes.
Yeah, really have been enjoying a number of his meditations and some of his work. It's been,
Who did the
helpful.
surrender experiment?
That's Michael Singer.
Michael Singer, the surrender experiment. You'll love it.
Okay.
Nice.
He did his, it's like his whole life. And this amazing things he created and the books he wrote and the things that he did, all out of surrendering each day, just living in. He's a big meditator, and he just would say, okay, just surrender the results, let it go, and pretty cool.
Yeah.
So you guys are on an amazing path.
Thank you.
Yeah,
we're excited. So are you.
We all are.
We all are.
And maybe, I have this idea, which I don't want to hold too tightly, just this idea that the world is waking up.
Yeah.
There is an evolution happening, and
I do feel that too.
Yeah, and it's not just in,
It's not small pockets of individuals anymore.
No, it's more and more.
Larger groups and larger, and it's collectively you start energizing. From an energy perspective, the more it grows and the more people that become aware, the more people that raise their consciousness, it can't not but affect others, and
of course,
also
There's a ripple
get them.
But like Hawkins says,
exactly.
One person at 600 raises the vibration of the whole planet.
Yes.
And the internet has, is a great tool to spread, this consciousness, this love, and it's neat that all of us have a different experience on the internet. They send us what they know we want to see.
Yes.
So mine is all memes, beautiful memes, and bells and beautiful angels. And, and of course I think that's everybody's experience on the internet, but
it's not.
It's not. No.
Exactly.
But, anyway, we can help. I think that it's important to include the internet in what you're doing.
Yeah.
Have you got a website, or are you gonna?
No, not yet, but we'll be working on that.
Yes.
And I think again, as we firm up the details, we'll have more stuff. Come along.
Facebook.
So I'm off Facebook because that's what I got the message to be, and that's my own path, and that was just because of similar. Your messaging was angels and spirituality and things, and mine was people's meals or their traumas and their troubles, and so I eventually turned it off because I thought that's not really the messaging that I want to listen to or be exposed to. So I haven't decided whether I'm going to go back or not. So we'll see.
Well, the thing about it is,
it's
a tool. It just really is a tool.
It's a tool. And you can curtail it to how you want your
yes, absolutely.
And like you said, it's a great, it's a great tool. It can be a great tool if you use it in the way in that with that intention.
But
it can also be a a rabbit hole that swallows your consciousness and your time and your and doesn't allow you to.
I've heard
see
that.
outside of that,
I have
right?
no idea of that
But
personally.
it depends on how the people experience it. Yeah,
I have
exactly.
no idea of that personally, but I have heard
It
people
happens. Exactly,
drop
yeah.
in their
I've
ways.
I've heard it happen to other people too. So
Yes.
yeah, exactly.
So, you guys, thanks for watching, and we're going to keep our eyes on you guys. Hopefully.
We'd love to come back and do an update.
Yes,
Yeah.
or we're going to do a road trip and go
Okay.
to Vancouver and
That
interview
sounds
people
amazing.
there.
Awesome.
And you guys are going to be there.
Yeah.
You guys are going to be there before Christmas.
Yeah.
I feel that.
Yeah, and so we'll come and have a kind of a repeat and
Sounds
talk
good.
about what's going on for you there.
That'd be
That
perfect.
sounds fantastic.
Because you are on Instagram.
Yes,
Yeah.
I am on
Yes.
Instagram.
Yeah,
I am on Instagram.
we'll connect there. We're going to actually put this on IGTV,
Okay.
so you can share if you want.
Okay.
When
Yeah.
if you follow Battling Beyond on Instagram,
I would love that.
and me or either or, we're going to put it on IGTV and on YouTube as well.
Great.
So we're on YouTube, IGTV, Instagram, and LinkedIn lately. I've been sharing videos on LinkedIn.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, which is really cool. LinkedIn's just cooking. It's changing. It used to be that LinkedIn was a place to go find a job.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But now it's become a real social
like-
media
yes. Yeah.
platform,
Yeah.
and growing
Yeah.
like crazy. So we're doing some posts on LinkedIn now
Nice.
too. So we'll put this on LinkedIn.
Awesome.
Sounds good.
And so we love you guys, and I'm encouraging you to follow your dreams, and just say yes. And if you're not feeling absolute joy where you are, say a prayer and see what the universe kind of gives you an idea of where you could be. It isn't just about quitting where you are, although you could do that too. But sometimes, something will come and you'll know. Actually, we all know
Yeah.
at one level that, okay, there's something else, and move into where your passion is, and to hell with what people think.
I like it.
Yeah, I mean, with love, lovingly to hell with what
Yeah.
people think.
Almost leaves them
Thanks
alone.
And,
for having us.
Yeah,
Thank you, David. Yeah.
yeah,
I
bet.
really
Thank you guys for
appreciate it.
having the courage. Okay, cheers.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.